This programme is brought to you in association with ABS Motorsport. From Cadwell Park we arrive here at Oulton Park in Cheshire, another circuit very much liked by the drivers. So how were things when we left Cadwell Park? Here's the championship standings as we arrive in Cheshire. Simon Rudd just 3 points ahead of Scott Parkin, with Gary Mitchell third, Lewis Ryan and Spencer Fortag chasing.
So Jonathan, we haven't met before, but I often see your name on the official list there because you normally play the clerk of the course. Now we're going to see you on the grid. So is this your first time having a go at this?
No, did the same race at Oulton Park in Focus Cup in 2019. So I've had a dabble in it, but this is it's been a long time out with not having any racing for the last 2 years. So yeah.
How have you found qualifying?
A lot better than I thought. I did better than yesterday in testing. Put it on P3, which I'm quite happy with. I wanted to just not be last really, but I did want to push for the higher position, so I'm really happy with P3.
Now, your official role is obviously keep an eye on all the other guys, make sure everything's done as per rules, regulations and so forth. Very important sort of job. Does that make you a bit of a target when you're out there, people watching your style?
Definitely. I've got everyone, all the drivers, all the marshals, all the officials. If I do a single thing wrong, I know I'm going to never live it down for the rest of my life. So, yeah, there is extra pressure there, but when I get in the car, I just sort of get into the zone and I don't really think about much else than racing, really.
Now, to go out there and get things like P3 and so forth, I mean, that's no mean feat. It's quite a competitive field and a large grid this year. Yeah,
compared to 2019, the field really stepped up. I was surprised I got so high, to be fair, with some of the drivers in here. So yeah, I'm really happy to get that high up so far.
Oulton Park, one you're familiar with?
Yep, home circuit. Done many laps in sports cars and safety cars. Not too many racing laps, but yeah, definitely got the homeboy advantage.
Scott, Oulton Park, only 2 weeks after the last event. That's a fairly quick turnaround, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely a quick turnaround, but I think it keeps everybody a bit fresh, you know, so keep us eyeing. Different circuit, obviously, but it's a circuit that quite a few of us have been to before. There's a few guys here, it's their home circuit as well, so they've seen some good times. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting race.
Qualifying done, still at the front end. I know you had a little bit of a mishap with the car on the circuit yesterday. Means a change of car there, but still fourth position.
Yeah, I think that's probably as good as I could have got, really, considering the circumstances. Would have been nice. I think I got pipped by 3,000 for the second for third place, but still second row. If I can get a good start in this car like I have been doing every race in the other car, then I think it should be a good fight. Simon Rudd's miles ahead of everybody else. We're not quite sure if he's got a second turbocharger on there or something to get that time, so we'll see how that pans out in the race. I think if he gets a clear break, I think he'll probably leave us all in his dust, but if not, it should be a good tight fight. I think there's not a lot of time between second and fifth or sixth, so yeah, it should be a pretty good race.
James, always great to see a new face. Now an online gamer. Now technically you should be the best on this grid, I think.
No, brand new. First race, anything on track. Yeah. I've done my ARDS test, track days years ago. This is the first thing. Go-karting, but this is the very first race ever.
A lot of people that are coming to this, in fact all aspects of racing start with go-karting. Yeah, it teaches you some lines, but totally different sort of racecraft when you get in a vehicle such as this.
Go-kart, you can throw it around a corner and they're very unforgiving. These are unforgiving, but you can't throw them at the same speed because obviously go-karts are rear-wheel drive, these are front-wheel drive. You can take a little bit through it, but not as close as you'd like to, which is scary.
Now, I've heard online gaming is your thing. I mean, is this motor racing or general stuff?
Just motor racing, sim racing. I've done it for years. It's good. It does show you the lines of the tracks, but then again, it doesn't show you how the car will act. Everything's completely different. So Oulton Park on the sim is close, but there's so many aspects which are not the same. It just catches you out. Corners will catch you out. Plus, you can reset if you crash. You can't reset.
It's very true. I know that certainly that type of racing, certainly over the COVID period, is becoming amazingly popular. But to get out there and feel it on the real track, I mean, when you're going to be sat there on the grid for the first time, how do you keep your mindset?
I didn't. My first time literally I got on the track, I was sweating, I was nervous, and you just got to go for it. I think I've got to that age where it's midlife crisis. So you just got to go for it. You can't be too nervous, or you just end up doing nothing. I think my first time yesterday was 2:19. I got it down to 2:12 today. So for me, I'm happy with that. Yeah, it's 7 seconds. So to find that on the first day, I'm happy. As long as I finish my first weekend without any incidents, I'll be very happy on my first race.
James Hayward making good progress. We'll see him on the grid a little bit later on. Simon Rudd and Gary Mitchell ahead of Jonathan Prevost and Scott Park. In row 3, Lewis Ryan and Spencer Fortag from Richard Avis and Simon Watts, his best of the season in qualifying. Charlie Barr and Simon Walter next from Branko Kiprowski and Macaulay Underwood. Mark Proctor and Ian Mitchell row 7. Simon Wardale Jameson followed by Robert Morgan, Jonathan Baker, James Hayward we heard from, and Lee Forrington, newcomer, in car with Lee in the number 3 car. The lights are on already. We are set. Watch Simon Rudd and Gary Mitchell on the front row of the grid. Here's the view from 5th. Lewis Ryan makes a good start, looking down the inside line of Scott Parkin. So the second place man in the championship is done off the line. Jonathan Prevost makes a good start. He is in 3rd. Lewis Ryan 4th at the moment. Simon Walter makes these. Simon Watts, hats off to him. Best ever qualifying this year in the 23 car, 8th position. So up into the top 10. Remember, there are points in qualifying as well in this championship. We'll talk more about the significance of that later on. In car with Mark Proctor. Superb run through Cascades on the outside line here of Branko Kiprowski. Maybe getting a wheel on the grass. Thankfully, it's nice and dry. But what a start by Simon Rudd. The championship leader comes into the meeting with the 3-point championship leader, as you saw, extends that to 12 after qualifying by my maths. Spencer Fortag going through the island hairpin. It's the full international circuit today, 2.69 miles of glorious Cheshire racetrack that these guys are enjoying. Superb tarmac, the very best venues raced on by the Focus Cup. We started at Donington, we went to Silverstone, Castle Combe, Cadwell Park last time, and of course we've got Croft, Brands Hatch and another visit to Donington Park coming up before the end of the season. So plenty to look forward to for the remainder of what we think is going to be a full season. We really, really do hope so. Things are getting back to normal and as normal as possible at the moment. So Branko Kiprowski chasing Mark Proctor, hasn't been left by Mark in the Power Max car. Mark incidentally will be egging on his son here next weekend because the British Touring Car Championship graces the island circuit as opposed to the full international next weekend. So 2 weekends in Cheshire for him. Procky was having a look there at Macaulay Underwood, the driver we met for the first time last time out at Cadwell in the Rob Sims car. Procky, I think, was going to have a look. Certainly someone who was having a look there was Scott Parkin on Lewis Ryan. He had a look down the inside, then went back to the wide line to try and get momentum on the exit of the corner. And behind him, Spencer Fortag 5th in the championship. Lost a point to Lewis Ryan in qualifying. Charlie Barr in the green car, and I tell you what, really good start by these guys, because you see so many championships with full grids that pile into Old Hall Corner, and then you have 3 or 4 cars off, and the driving standards very good indeed. Mind you, I suppose it's got to be with Jonathan Prevost on the grid, as you heard. Macaulay Underwood now chasing Kiprowski. Doesn't leave as much room here as he did for Mark Proctor, probably aware that Mark was there. At the moment, Macaulay Underwood busy chasing him. Macaulay breaking into the top 10, qualified 17th last time, 14th in race number 1. His section of the grid obviously reversed and managed the top 10 on his debut in Focus Cup, and obviously back for more this weekend, which is great to see. Using different line round the hairpin. Mark Proctor trying to break away from Branko Kiprowski at the moment. So Simon Rudd leads the championship. I don't think any of the major places changed after qualifying. It's great that you have to focus on the, if you pardon the pun, focus on the qualifying positions, that points are available for that. And it just adds an extra dimension to this wonderful championship, that every single bit of track time counts for the championship. And rightly so, not just the pole position man getting points, everybody gets points, so you have to be on it right from the word go. There's no excuse, because obviously the cars are prepared. Mark Proctor runs a little bit wide, not enough to scrub momentum off and let Kiprowski back into the mix. Courtney Underwood going up Clay Hill. This is Druids corner, so the exit Druids, they'll go under the Paul Warwick Bridge and then head up to Lodge corner, which is where the race leaders are at the moment. Gary Mitchell in second position, and having a look up the inside line is Scott Parkin, who muscles his way past Lewis Ryan. Parkin goes through, and that was key for Scott Parkin. Second in the championship, needs to get as close as possible to Simon Rudd on track to limit the damage that will be inflicted points-wise on him in this race if Simon Rudd continues to dominate and pull away. We need to keep an eye on fastest laps. Mark Proctor busy chasing the 77 car of Richard Avis, ever present in the championship, the man from Eastbourne in Sussex. Richard qualifying 7th today, second best qualifier out of the 5 sessions this year. He was 4th at Donington Park at the start of the year. So one feels that Richard Davis may be getting a bit of momentum behind him again, certainly as far as qualifying goes. So things relatively settled at the moment. The race leader's already through the hairpin once again. The field chasing into the banked corner. Lewis Ryan working hard. So it is Simon Rudd looking for lights to flag victory here. There is Spencer Fortag, 5th in the championship. Still racing well too as we go through Britain's, the hairpin. Now climbing up to Hilltop and then down in towards the S's and then on to Knickerbrook. Spencer Fortag climbs up Clay Hill, chasing Charlie Barr under the footbridge. One of the great advantages of Oulton Park is that you can watch from pretty much anywhere around the circuit, either inside or outside. So for casual spectators, it's a super day out. You can get your step count and watch some great racing at the same time. Charlie Barr immediately ahead. That's for 6th and 7th place. You can see that Spencer Fortag is in close proximity. Mark Proctor chased by Branko Kiprowski, hasn't been left since that opening lap pass. In car again with Spencer Fortag chasing Charlie Barr. Thought he might come offline and have a look down the inside as they went into Old Hall, but he's too far back at the moment, as you can see, trying everything in the book just to try and close up. On board with Mark Proctor. Super view here, just gives you a real feel for the descent as they go around Old Hall and then down through Cascades. Great circuit, not only to walk around on the outside, but also if you get the opportunity to do a track walk, it's a great place to go again. It really gives you an appreciation for the gradients of this place. A wonderful picturesque circuit as well, an old school track I think they call it, built into the contours that are here. It can be difficult to overtake sometimes, but a great racetrack nonetheless. And Spencer Fortag still busy chasing Charlie Barr out of the hairpin, down in towards Britain's. So they sweep round to the right, left-hander into the chicane, which they approach now on the brakes. Fairly gentle chicane, it must be said. Got another chicane in a minute, but they've got to negotiate Hilltop, so they climb up Hilltop, which is where they are now, and then downhill, and they'll see where the camera is pretty much in a sort of natural amphitheatre as Barr comes under pressure. Fortag taking a good attacking line there, nice wide line into the Hislop chicane and putting big pressure on. Richard Avis looking handy there in 77, the third of the 3 cars that we're looking at. Richard with best result of that podium race 1 still of the season. Looking fairly strong in this one, Richard Davis, I've got to say. Nice to see him well inside the top 10, running well. Barr and Fortag continue apace. Those two dicing it out for 5th in the championship as well as for 6th position here in this race. Avis getting stuck in now, having a look at Spencer Fortag, goes wide. There's a dip down the inside, a little speculative look at the man in front of him. Mark Proctor runs wide there on the curbs at Deer Leap. Oulton Park, the scene of a nasty incident. Sorry, Mark, for reminding you. You won't need reminding of that in Ginetta a few seasons ago. Simon Watts running well. Great to see Simon up in the top 10. You know, by far and away the best qualifying for him of the season thus far, and we were momentarily on board with Dale Jameson. Dale, second best qualifying. He had a 4th in the first round of the season and 7th today for Dale Jameson, so good to keep an eye on the stats as Scott Parkin continues to lead Lewis Ryan. That is 4th and 5th position, so Ryan is 5th, behind Lewis the Barr and Fortag battle, such as it is, continues. Simon Rudd still with the fastest lap, so on to bag 30 points for the win, an additional 5 for fastest lap if it stays. A lock up there from Charlie Barr, and that is at the chicane and coming through, or is he? Spencer Fortag gets more momentum, makes the move on the outside line. Fortag is passed, and Charlie Barr passed by Proctor and Richard Davis as well as they go over Hilltop. There was a little bit of door handling you heard on the sound effects there, and Charlie Barr, I think that was a lock-up going into Britain's, loses out. Richard Davis wasn't able to go through. Avis has lost out now to Branko Kibrovsky in yellow. Macaulay Underwood closing up on Richard Davis now, so Richard Davis lost a little bit of ground there. Barr is fighting back. Passing Mark Proctor's got a problem by the look of it. He's not a happy-looking Mark Proctor. We're on board with Richard Davis goes through. Now, was that the contact that we heard as they were going past the green car of Charlie Barr? Very, very possibly. Dale Jameson trying to tee up Procky now in the 66 car. Mark keeps well over. That's really good, respectful driving from Mark. Knows he's got a problem. Doesn't want to hinder anybody else on track. And that's the mark of a professional driver. And Branko Kibrovsky goes wide, maybe looking in his mirrors at Charlie Barr. Barr gets a place back. Richard Davis coming into the mix as well, and having a go at the Macedonian as they cross the line. And you know, all of the issues that we've seen there pretty much all caused by one lock-up from Charlie Barr. Now in car at the back of the group with Macaulay Underwood, still very much learning his way in Focus Cup. Second race meeting, and he's on the back of this quartet. Let's see what Macaulay can do. Richard Davis in front. So along Lakeside, they'll go into the left-hander here. Again, you can pass here. It's not the easiest place in the world, but if you can get a decent line, a bit of momentum following cascades, you can get the line, but it does convert to the outside for this hairpin. And Branko Kibrovsky at the head of this group. Charlie Barr goes through. There is Richard Davis. Macaulay was looking at the outside line. Wasn't really working for him. Dale Jameson is in behind as well. So Dale Jameson closing up on this quartet. The Rob Sims car chasing the swanflight.com machine of Richard Davis. So Simon Rudd still the leader. He's away and down the road. And there, well, we said there was a problem for Mark Proctor, and there is the proof of that. In pit lane as well is Ian Mitchell. Ian Mitchell and Mark Proctor, two drivers having problems in this race. The Jelson car chasing Kibrovsky still. Charlie Barr. So Branko Kibrovsky 7th at the moment. Branko, you have to say, sometimes if you just keep your patience in a race, things can happen, doors can open up and you can pick people off. Is Simon Watts busy having a look, so Charlie Barr chasing Branko Kibrovsky, Richard Davis, who lost out just a little bit there. Macaulay Underwood is in behind. As on to the last lap goes the 42 car of race leader Simon Rudd, still with fastest lap. The race win is 30 points, second is 26, so it's a 9-point advantage if he can hold on to that. And through goes Simon Watts. Simon Watts makes a neat move there, past Macaulay Underwood. That was for 10th position. So an extra point, 14 points becomes 15 in this race. Now Jameson runs a little bit wider, a lot wider actually, kicks up the dirt. Nobody to worry about. We've got waved yellows there. Is that for Mark Proctor's car parked up? I think it probably is, but the Cartech car is clear. It's not a massive margin. It's around about a second and a half, but that's all you need in Focus Cup. Simon Rudd ahead of Gary Mitchell. We ride on board with the second place car. Gary Mitchell here will close down. He'll be chasing second position in the championship at the moment. Scott Parkin is fourth, so that'll be 5 points out of Scott Parkin's lead from second to third place in the championship, assuming they make it to the flag. No reason to think they won't, because driving standards excellent in this championship. Richard Davis in ninth place. Charlie Barr is immediately in front in eighth. Branko Kibrowski running in seventh, and Spencer Fortag ahead of them. Fascinating round 9 of the championship. It's still not done though, because Jameson's having a go at Macaulay Underwood. This is the wide line down into the chicane. He's going to be brave if he can get this done on the outside line. They're side by side, but Macaulay Underwood's used to close quarter racing on the short ovals. They both brave it out. The 217 car has to give better. Ultimately, it was a brave attempt by Dale Jameson, but all comes to naught. Jameson's going to wind up in 12th position, but here is the race leader, Simon Rudd, still with the fastest lap. The sectors on screen indicate that's not going to change, so it's going to be pole position, lights to flag, race, win there, and fastest lap. Maximum points for Simon Rudd. Gary Mitchell is fast and consistent again in second place, and the Flying Clark, Jonathan Prevost, takes third and completes the podium from Scott Parkin. There is Lewis Ryan taking fifth position. Spencer Fortag will be next from Branko Kibrowski in seventh. The yellow car, the green and white of Charlie Barg in eighth place. Ninth goes to Richard Avis in 77, and Simon Watts completing the top 10 in the 23 car. But Simon Rudd takes another win, his third win of the championship, following his fourth pole position of the season. Confirmation of the top 10 that we've just given you. Rudd, Mitchell and Prevost the podium, and Rudd taking the fastest lap as well. 11th goes to Macaulay Underwood, 12th to Dale Jameson from Simon Watt and Simon Walton. Jonathan Baker next from James Hayward, Robert Morgan and Lee Forrington.
Simon, race 1 done and dusted. First place again there, and you came into this event with leading the championship. It's not done any harm to the points.
No, I think I've had a really good morning with pole, race win, fastest lap. So it was tight at the top of the championship coming into this. So I think I've managed to pull a few points away from Scott and Gary, but there's still quite a long way to go.
Gary was on the case there early doors, but then you maintained a fairly decent gap.
Yeah, I think my car came on a little bit better towards the end. Gary was never going to let me get away. It was exactly the same as Cadwell Park, it kept me on my toes. It was quite close for the fastest lap as well, so I needed to make sure that I got that in. But yeah, it was close, but it was manageable. Gary,
great to see another podium there. Now you came to this event third in the championship, behind Scott, but Scott was behind you in that race, so you've closed the gap a bit.
Yeah, it's, the last three meetings I'm pulling some really good points and gaining on Scott quite well, so I'm quite impressed with that. Still struggling a bit to keep up with Simon, but no, it's like I say, it's all points, and points are what I need for the end of the season, so it's been really good.
You were keeping together early on in that race, and then you got a bit of a gap on you, but you were maintaining that gap.
Yeah, it was with that race, the first few laps while the tyres were on, it was a case of trying to chase Simon down and see if I could either get him to make a mistake or get close enough to make a move. But about midway through the race I realised that I didn't have the pace down the straights to get close enough to make a move. But so basically my plan was back off a little bit, see if I could pick up a fastest lap and get them extra points.
So John spoke earlier, podium required, podium achieved.
Yeah, very happy with that. Stuck where I was, so happy got some silverware at the end.
Most of the action was actually just behind you, so fill in your mirrors a bit.
Yeah, so it was close at the start, but I noticed that they started to back off a bit, so that's when I started to calm down a bit and just try and build a gap.
Gary was keeping ahead of you there. Were you trying to get past him at any point?
I was into turn one, but he just, he's definitely too quick for me, I think. I think he got the legs on me there.
Welcome back to Oulton Park and our fifth programme in the 2021 series for the Focus Cup. Race 1 complete, that means that the team behind the scenes have a fair bit of work to do, refuelling, checking the cars over and getting those that have problems back on track and ready for the second race of the day. In the meantime, Barry is down in the paddock talking to Tony Bucknell.
It's great to see your support, not only as title sponsor yet again, but also at the circuit. As you're going so far, what do you think about the racing?
Yeah, really good today. It's good to be back here at Oulton, and we have the ABS car in P3, so all looking good.
Still quite a lot of rounds to go. In this hot weather, a few more incidents happening, and people are pushing at 10 tenths, aren't they? So the odd things do get knocked and cracked and so forth, so it's good to have you guys on hand.
Well, we can't do anything at the circuit yet, so that's something we can't do. But it's good to discuss with the engineers and new designs, what they want to do, what they want to develop. So we've had quite a few conversations today on how we're going to improve the cooling on the cars. So that's something that will come into more play later on in the year on these cars. So always looking forward, always seeing how we can improve them, always move on. Yeah.
Rob, great to catch up with you partway through the season. Now you're behind the scenes and one of the co-founders of this championship. The day-to-day running and so forth comes down to yourself and to Simon. Tell me about what your role is in total and sort of how you cope with such a busy season.
Well, it's when we came along with this idea, shall we say, it's and it was a concept first of all for fairness and stuff like that. And then what we've done, we've split the operation. So Simon has one half of the cars, I own the other half of the cars. When we started actually putting them into production to start building, Simon sort of stripped them to pieces. I actually built them into a race car. So like we've built 23 of them now. With evolutions of making them better, as you always do. You put them in hands of other people, other things come up. So we're constantly changing and updating things.
The concept and indeed the execution, more importantly, is a winning format for drivers. They just turn up. They've got equally powered cars, they've got the advantage of reverse grids, it's down to driver talent and so forth. But to make that happen, that's pretty hard work behind the scenes.
It is. It's from the last rounds, it's only been 2 weeks, but when you actually whittle that away, it's probably we've had 8 to 9 days straight on the cars. We've battled with a couple of engines each. We had a turbo issue. Each, and then obviously when you're doing a couple of repairs and stuff like that, it's pretty much flat out.
Simon, been a little while since we've had a chat. I think it was Donington last year, I think we said before, but how's your racing career progressed since then?
This year's been tough because the number of entrants into the Focus Cup from what I would call semi-pro drivers has made it a much bigger challenge. So as someone who's relatively new to racing myself, I've found it a lot harder this year, so I've been in the back part of the races really, which is not as satisfying as coming in the first half. Last year I had a great year because I came 5th in the Focus Cup Championship, so it'd be tough to achieve that again.
Still getting some results. I mean, race 1 out of the way, you were still in the top 10.
Yeah. Well, I'm Oulton Park is my local circuit, so I know this one a little bit better than the others. Qualified 8th, had a difficult start, good leap off the grid, but a lot of traffic to get round. Probably dropped 4 places and then gained another 2 to finish 10th.
Now, I'm never good at maths with these reverse grids, but I love the format. So does that put you 5th in the next one? Where were you next?
No, so in blocks of 6, so actually I dropped back a position, so I'll start in 9th in the second race, but that should be okay.
Now, John, we've only spoke very briefly before face to face, and that was on the starting grid of your first ever race. So how's your racing career progressed since?
I would like to say we're on track. Pardon the pun. It's gone okay. Better than I expected. With the qualifying on the first time at Donington, it was such a nervous experience, and since then I've just kind of grown into it. Had a bit of a bad experience at the last race weekend, but back on it today, and let's see where we go into race 2.
clearly you don't forget taking the plunge to actually get out there and race, which is the major hurdle that most people think, yeah, I want to do it but never do. So what have you learned?
What have I learnt? Life's too short, especially with the pandemic that's just gone by. Yeah, with work and being so hectic at work, I just needed something to get away from it all. My wife was a shielder through the pandemic, so I spent 7 months at home on my own while she was with my daughter at her mum and dad's house. And yeah, being stuck indoors, I just thought, what can I do? You know, I've always done a bit of racing on the Xbox and on the PC bits and pieces, but you know, I wanted to see what I could do first. So yeah, got my R's licence, spoke to Simon, and he introduced me into this and took the plunge, and I'm so glad I did it. Every weekend I walk away from here waiting for the next one. I haven't been able to put a smile on my face like this for years and years and years, and it just takes me away from work, which again, that hasn't happened in such a long time. So yeah, absolutely love it.
Well said, John Baker. That's why people come to this championship, not just established drivers but brand new drivers as well. They love the racing, they love the format. Talking of format, the groups of 6 are reversed. So the driver in 6th place, Spencer Fortag, takes pole with Lewis Ryan alongside. The second group of 6, Dale Jameson and Macaulay Underwood, who were 12th and 11th respectively, move up to the pole in their group, and Lee Forrington and Robert Morgan in the third group of 6 move up to the front of their group. So they start 13th and 14th. I hope that makes sense. Really got time to give you the full rundown of who is where and what, but 3 reverse grid groups, which is great. Everybody's involved in the reverse grid concept, and away we go. Great start by Spencer Fortag, in car with Simon Rudd. Gary Mitchell away in red, and he's going up the middle. We've got a Mitchell Sarney here. He goes through and I think makes up ground on the outside of Scott Parkin, on the inside of Jonathan Prevost, who goes track limits. Jonathan won't get picked up by the cameras on the sensor pads because he went very wide indeed. Through goes Dale Jameson in 217, but it's the black and red car of Spencer Fortag leading, Macaulay Underwood closing up. There is the Cartech car of Simon Rudd, extended his championship lead, unsurprisingly. Well, you don't need an A-level in mathematics for me to tell you that, do you, in race number 1. And of course what he's got to do here is try and come through as best he can. May not get a win, it's always difficult in the reverse grid races, as Gary Mitchell fancies his chances from 5th on the grid. Super start by Gary Mitchell. Spencer Fortag now chasing. It's Lewis Ryan who leads after that great start by pole position man Spencer Fortag. So Fortag second, Gary Mitchell is in third. Charlie Barr dicing with Jonathan Prevost through Britons. They've all sorted themselves out well. A couple of drivers you're going to have to watch out for in this one. Mark Proctor starting off the back, Ian Mitchell as well in the 71. Progress we know is difficult because the cars are evenly matched, so it is not easy to make your way through the field. So Lewis Ryan the race leader. Let's see what Gary Mitchell can do. Third at the moment. Scott Parkin is immediately behind, and Gary needs to get every single place that he can in this reverse grid race ahead of Simon Rudd. He'll be keeping an eye on his mirror. Rudd is in 5th place, having started in 6th, so on the opening lap already has 1 position gained. So he'll be happy with that, and that's the idea over the course of the race, is to chip away, see what you can get. Every position gained will help. Mitchell thinks about having a look. So right behind Mitchell is Scott Parkin. Parkin, remember, 2nd in the championship. I think the gap now 26 points. So getting on to a race in hand, which would be 30 points for the championship leader, as Mitchell nibbles away at Spencer Fortag, the man from Rochester. In Kent, got a lot of Kentish-based drivers. Spencer won the reverse grid race at Donington Park, and side by side as they come down Cascades, and Gary Mitchell looking on the outside line. This is the line we saw Mark Proctor pass Branko Kabrowski in the first race of the day, and Simon Rudd looks to try and follow Mitchell. Watch now, we go into the left-hander. I tell you what, Simon Rudd's keeping a watching brief here. He's going to see how this plays out. He knows it's early doors, so that is a little bit of racecraft from the championship leader. Just watching how this pans out. He knows he's got time maybe to work his way up towards an overall podium. There are your top 5, headed by Lewis Ryan. 2nd position is Spencer Fortag. And Gary Mitchell here was challenging for third, but now will have to go a little bit defensive from Simon Rudd. Rudd not quite on his tail yet. Love the reverse grid races, love the fact that all the groups get mixed up. I'll say it again, everybody's involved. It's not like touring cars or other championships where it's just the front group that get reversed. Every group of 6 has their element of reverse, so it's groundbreaking, this championship. The fact that it's arrive and drive, and the fact that you get the points for qualifying, there is a lot to play for, right the way from when you get in the car for the first time, right the way to when you get out of the car at the end of the day. And that's why the likes of, John Baker was enthusing about this championship in his interview there with Barry. Jonathan Prevost busy chasing Dale Jameson. Charlie Barr coming under pressure here from Macaulay Underwood. I bet Macaulay's enjoying himself. Branko Kiprowski is just behind them as well in the number 2, the yellow car. And Spencer Fortag has now been passed, so Spencer now down in 3rd place. He's trying to fight back, but it's Scott Parkin who I think had his nose across, certainly had his nose in front when they went through Deer Leap, but coming back at him is Spencer Fortag, and well, Fortag can't quite do it, so Fortag down in 3rd. Ian Mitchell challenging him now in the Mintex car, goes to the inside. Fortag touches a little bit of grass, and coming through now is Simon Rudd, side by side. Rudd's got the inside line. Spencer Fortag on the outside. Was there contact? We heard a little bit of a bang. I'm not sure if there was. Spencer looks across and finds himself now from the front row down into 5th. Goodness me. So it's Lewis Ryan still out front. Ryan, I'm just looking at the stats, hasn't had a win yet, and had 2 second positions, one at Silverstone, another one at Castle Combe. Is he going to be able, he's under pressure here, so he'll be thinking maybe about that first Focus Cup win. So Lewis Ryan in the K&N car up ahead of championship contender Scott Parkin, who's putting him under pressure. Then it's Gary Mitchell followed by Simon Rudd. Let's see what Mitchell can do. The winner could come from any one of of that group of cars that are in shot, to be perfectly honest. They're all capable of taking the win, and here we go on in car with Macaulay Underwood once again. In car with Ian Mitchell, so Ian enjoying a fight through from the back of the grid and chasing down John Baker, who we heard from just before race 2 this afternoon, thoroughly enjoying himself. And Mitchell, okay, he'll have had problems in race number 1, but that's the beauty of this. Start off the back, get yourself another drive in, get stuck in, make some passes, and hopefully leave Oulton Park at the end of the day with a big grin on his face. Meanwhile, we go back to the front runners. Gary Mitchell still in 3rd place. The race leader is still Lewis Ryan, but Ryan under pressure from Scott Parkin. Simon Rudd is in 4th place. Into the left-hander. Coming up to the hairpin once again. The top 4 as they were. Mitchell here has got the opportunity to look down the inside and go for 2nd position side by side, but Parkin cuts across, grabs the line, little bit of contact between the 2 of them. It's going to allow Simon Rudd to close back in. Rudd looking at the outside here, trying to get momentum as they head down into the chicane. The Cartech machine still in 4th place. I'll tell you what, 5th not that far away as well, but again, Rudd fairly circumspect, wants to finish the race first of all, get the points in the bag. He's heading on towards a race in hand in the championship. I'll take my hat off to Spencer Fortag here, running in 5th place, not losing touch with the leaders. This is cat and mouse, isn't it, between the top 4. Jonathan Prevost is in 6th position at the moment, trying to close in on them. So uphill, this is Clay Hill heading towards our camera up, and that's Charlie Barr out of the race and disgusted with it as well. Charlie Barr showing real racer's passion. Let's see if we can see what happened. Here is the replay on board with Simon Watts. So Kiprowski in yellow comes across the track, looking to make a pass. Looks like he tags the back end of Charlie Barr. Charlie spins around, he's a passenger. Bang, into the barrier. Kiprowski across the grass. We'll see whether the officials take any action about that, but Charlie Barr, the Jelson car, that's a lot of work for the organisers to have to do. Now, side by side, And coming through into second position, Simon Rudd from 4th to 2nd. He's passed Mitchell, he's passed Scott Parkin now, and the championship leader up into 2nd and chasing Lewis Ryan. So Gary Mitchell is now in 4th place. You can see Lewis Ryan with a decent lead now, and Spencer Fortag is closing in, so Spencer Fortag challenging for 4th. This is the outside line as they go along Lakeside, and he's got it. Fortag's up into 4th place, and he's going to have the inside line as they go into the hairpin as well. So Spencer Fortag into 4th, but I think there was a switch back, and Gary Mitchell has gone back on the inside line to take 4th place. Watch the back of this group if we can. Still Lewis Ryan out front. Yeah, Mitchell got him back into 4th position. Terrific racing. Absolutely superb. Dale Jameson has gone into 6th now, ahead of Jonathan Prevost as well. It's all happening here in race 2, and the championship leader is up into 2nd place. We ride on board with Spencer Fortag, who will have another go at Gary Mitchell. Mitchell losing touch here in 4th position with Scott Parkin. Mitchell was knocking on the door of a Podium in the Mintex car and has now lost out, but it's a job to know which car to follow. Lewis Ryan, the race leader in the K&N Filters car. Simon Rudd in 2nd from 6 on the grid. It's all going to be about fastest lap as well, so we need to keep our eyes on the fastest lap. Remember that extra 5 points. If Simon Rudd can bag the extra 5 points, he'll have a nice comfortable lead, maybe a complete race in hand as we head towards our next event, which we move further north for, Croft in North Yorkshire. Another wonderful circuit. Don't race on any rubbish tracks, they're all superb to be perfectly honest, but a warm welcome up there. That'll be Mark Proctor's home track if we see Mark there as well. Branko Kabrowski challenging Jonathan Prevost. Meant to have a look, see if there was any damage on the front of Branko's car. Let's have a look as they come down towards us here. Again, we can't see, focusing on Spencer Fortag and Dale Jameson in car with Dale, trying everything that he can to close up. It's been a good race from Dale Jameson here. Started in that in 7th position, so he was the first one in the reverse of the second group, and running in 6th, so has made a little bit of progress. Meanwhile, Spencer Fortag having to drive on his mirrors a little bit. Jonathan Prevost closing up as well, so too is Branko Kabrowski. Richard Avis in behind. So Prevost again, nice onboard from the 72 car. Hope we see more of Jonathan racing. Obviously did well in qualifying, taking 3rd position on the grid. Still chasing Dale Jameson out of the chicane, up and over Hilltop once again. So it is Lewis Ryan the leader, Simon Rudd putting in pressure on. I wonder what the dynamic is psychologically between those two out front, because we've got the championship leader who is chasing, and Lewis Ryan will be very well aware that he has not had a race win so far, but the man behind him has, and has the championship lead and pole position and fastest lap in race number 1. So there's a fair amount of pressure on the lead driver. So Simon Rudd is the chaser. Lewis Ryan in the 24 car, the man from East Yorkshire, he'll be looking forward to Croft as well, and it would be good if he could go away with a win. Rolling into that round, slightly defensive, coming into the final corner, Lodge, not overly defensive you have to say, so still mindful about putting in good laps. He's very well aware that Rudd is there as they come across the line again, and Rudd comes offline and looks to try and make a pass as they go on to the last lap. 2.5 miles to go around Oulton Park. John Baker still dicing hard with the 71 car of Ian Mitchell. Mitchell's now got the inside line, so let's see if Ian can go up the inside line. 12th position at the moment, and there he goes through. Nice move, very neat move, but carries a little bit too much momentum and runs wide, loses 1 place. I think he's going to lose another. That's Simon Waugh going through as well. And this is the battle for the lead. battles everywhere, coming towards the island hairpin for the last time. Scott Parkin closes up. That might take a bit of pressure off Lewis Ryan, because Simon Rudd is under pressure from Scott Parkin. Parkin wants championship points. Out of the hairpin they go. Simon Rudd will know, as long as he finishes, he'll have a good healthy championship lead to take to Croft. Parkin has had a bit of a renaissance in this race. It's a very, very close podium. Gary Mitchell still there in fourth. Spencer Fortag is in fifth place, and Rudd makes a move, goes to the outside line here. It's not necessarily an attacking move, but it will be to try and get as much momentum as he can through the chicane, maybe on the exit, and have a go up Clay Hill. He's not particularly close now, but equally not being held up, so any momentum he is building, he might be able to unleash as they come out of Knickerbrook and go up Clay Hill. Not quite close enough, I don't think. In car with Rudd again. So the final third of a lap or so, and it's the K&N Filters car still there. Is there going to be a gap on the inside line? Lewis Ryan is holding on. Are we going to see another first-time winner in Focus Cup? We could well do, because coming up as well is Scott Parkin piling the pressure on under the Paul Warwick Bridge. Coming up into Lodge Corner for the last time. The 44 car, I think, closing up as well, Gary Mitchell. But into Lodge Corner, the final bend on the race. And it is going to be Lewis Ryan who leads. Rudd's going to try and have a run down towards the flag. Parkin's having a go at him as well. The checkered flag is ready. And it's Lewis Ryan that takes the win. A maiden winning the championship. Simon Rudd second. Scott Parkin in third. Gary Mitchell fourth. Spencer Fortag in fifth place. Dale Jameson in sixth from Jonathan Prevost and Richard Davis. Simon Watts, I think, will be next up. Here is Ian Mitchell chasing Simon Waugh across the line. And there's the checker. Another superb race from the Focus Cup Championship. And it was Lewis Ryan who takes a maiden win. A super drive under a lot of pressure. Started nearer the front, but a lot of pressure soaked up in that race. And that'll be a big confidence builder for him as we head to his home circuit at Croft next time. Ryan the winner, Simon Rudd second from Scott Parkin and Gary Mitchell. Spencer Fortag next, ahead of Dale Jameson and Jonathan Prevost. Rich Davis eighth from Simon Watts. Mark Proctor comes through from the back into the top 10. Great drive from him. Simon Walter next from John Baker. Simon Waugh, Ian Mitchell, Robert Morgan and James Hayward. And a disqualification for Branko Kibrowski.
Lewis, first across the line there on your birthday as well. That can't be bad.
Yeah, proper way to spend a birthday, I think. Very happy with that indeed.
Pressure was on there, I mean, that top of 3 and 4, it was quite nerve-wracking stuff.
Yeah, plan was just to get a good start. Hopefully Spencer had to deal with some of the battles and back him up a little bit, and then, yeah, quite quickly had Parkin in my mirrors. And yeah, fair play to him. Awful lot of pressure put on me, but yeah, managed to keep it in front.
Simon, a well-fought battle there, second place, good for those points as well on the championship. How was it from the driver's point of view?
Yeah, I think it's good points. I think that's what I wanted. I sort of set myself a plan to try and get into the top 3. So I'm happy with second, in front of Gary and Scott, which are the 2 title guys. So yeah, it was a good race for me. Had to be a little bit patient. There was some very close racing. So yeah, just picked my moments and worked my way through.
Scott, another podium, well done. Great for the points there. The battle was on there from the word go, wasn't it?
Literally, I don't think there were a minute that any of us in the top, well, I don't know about the guys behind, but definitely top 6 didn't have a minute's rest between. We were trading places all over the place. We had, trading a bit of bodywork, a bit of paint in a few places as well to that close. But yeah, I think overall it were a pretty good race for everybody. I think everybody I've talked to has had battles all the way through, so I think that's what we're here for. Whilst it's nice to get on the podium and get a trophy, there's 20 odd of us here. We can't all get on there, so the idea is to have a battle, and that's what we had. It worked out pretty well.
James, first race weekend over. Was it what you thought?
Epic, loved it. Absolutely loved every minute of it. A lot more than what I expected.
You were getting some pace there. What your lap times were improving throughout the 2 races anyway, and it's quite a learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive compared to karting and sim racing. It's just a whole new world. But you get into it and you take it relaxed, and speeds get faster.
Simon Rudd extends the championship lead here at Oulton Park. Scott Parkin second from Gary Mitchell and Lewis Ryan. Spencer Fortag in 5th, and despite the non-finish, Charlie Bart in 6th. We'll see you next time at Croft.